Alright guys, this video is going to teach you how to mount one of our cameras onto the different microscopes that we have. So we have the MD series camera, the MU series camera, and the MA series camera. And lined up here I do have one of the monocular microscopes, which is a high-powered. I have a binocular stereo microscope. I have a trinocular microscope, which is a T490. And I have a trinocular stereo microscope, which is one of the SM series. Okay, so we have three different cameras. We do have the MD series that you can read right here, Amscope MD35. You have the MU series camera, and you can read the model number on the camera. It says right here, MU300. And we have the MA series camera, and you could find the model number written right underneath the USB port, right there. Now the MD35 camera uses a mini USB cable. So you can see the connections. This would be the mini USB cable that is plugged into the MD35 right here. So when you put it on your computer, you would plug it in here, and you would plug in the other port, the regular USB port, into your computer. For the MU series camera, it's going to use a standard USB male to female. Also, it's going to be a printer cable, also known as a printer cable. So if you see the connections, it be kind of a squarish type, and the other part that goes into your computer is a standard. And basically this cable is going to be used for not only the MU but also the MA series. The MA series, the cable is found right on the side of it, and for the MU camera, the USB port is found right on top of the square. So you got those sides, and you have the USB connection right here, and you would just plug it in. Now, if you're looking at these three cameras, you could see that the difference between them are not only the shape, but that we do have these extra components. And these extra components, this is for the MU, and this one is for the MA. These are called reduction lenses. And what they do is they reduce the magnification of the camera. Without these lenses attached, the MU or the MA camera would give you around 40x magnification or a little bit higher. And that would be a super zoomed in image and almost unusable. So what we normally do is we attach these adapters onto the camera. So let me show you how I would do that. I would unscrew the bottom, so the cap comes off. And then for the reduction lens on the MU series, there's also a cap on top. And if you don't remove that, then all you're going to see is a black image. So remove that top cap and remove the bottom cap. And after you do that, you would just screw in the reduction lens into the bottom where you see the sensor there. So that would be the MU series camera with the reduction lens attached. And for the MA series camera, there's also a cap at the bottom that you have to remove. And there's also a reduction lens that you have to screw onto it. And make sure that the cap of the reduction lens is removed, and also the cap at the bottom. For this video, I already removed the caps on it. Okay, so now in this frame you can see our three cameras. You have the MD camera, the MU, and the MA. Keep in mind that the MD series camera does not have a reduction lens. So pretty much the magnification on this camera is going to be around 40x. That's why most people pay more for the higher end cameras, because they have that reduction lens, and with that reduction lens they're able to see a better field of view when they're looking through the microscope. So let's go ahead and see how these cameras attach to the microscopes we have. So most of you out there might have a monocular microscope. So this is just a sample of what one of our monocular microscopes look like. It's a compound microscope. Alright, and the way that you put a camera, you could attach to MD, MU, or MA, and basically there's a small port here where a screw is inserted. So you would normally use a screwdriver, remove that screw, and then once you do that, you could easily slide the eyepiece in and out. Okay? And with that done, here's the MD35. And we're going to go ahead and just slide it in, and it fits perfectly. The MU with the reduction lens attached, it slides in perfectly. And for the MA, it would just slide in perfectly as well. As easy as that. Now the one thing you have to keep in mind is when you attach one of these cameras, then you lose the eyepiece. And you would have to refocus for the magnification on the camera and not the eyepiece magnification. And let's go ahead and try to mount the cameras onto one of our SC300 series. You'll notice that these microscopes are different because the eyepieces are bigger than 23 millimeters, which is usually the standard size. So these come at a standard size of 30.5 millimeters. And what you have to do is remove the eyepiece by removing a small screw that holds the eyepiece in place. So you could just remove the eyepiece like that. And what happens now is that your package will come with two adapters. One adapter will say 30 millimeters, so 23.3 to 30 millimeters, and the other one will say 23.3 to 30.5 millimeters. And since this microscope uses a 30.5 millimeter adapter, you would just go ahead and get the 30.5 millimeter adapter and just slide it right in, and then you would place the camera in. So just get the adapter, put it in the eyepiece, and then you would go ahead and get your MD35 camera, slide it into the adapter. You would get your MU camera if you have an MU camera and put it in with the adapter. Or if you have your MA camera, you would do the same thing and just slide it in with the adapter. So adapter and MA series camera. And that's what your microscope would look like with the camera attachment. See, the camera does take up a lot of space, which is why we usually recommend to get a trinocular microscope if you did want to attach one of the bigger cameras with it. As you can see, if you have an MU series camera attached, it doesn't take up too much space, but it's still a large amount that's taken up. Now we'll show you how to attach a camera onto our 490 series. And this is probably going to be a lot like our other models, like the B120, T120, 340 series. Most of our other microscopes will look like this one. So there might be some of you out there who don't have the trinocular port, and that refers to the third port on top, which is usually used for the camera. So just imagine this model would just be the two eyepieces. The 490 series, as well as our other ones, don't come with a screw that holds the eyepiece in place. So you could easily choose which one you want to remove, left or the right, and you would just remove it and place the camera in. So let's go ahead and place the MD35 camera right in there. That's where the camera would mount. The MU series camera, if you have a binocular, would go right in there. Left or right, doesn't matter. And the MA series camera would go right in there too. Left or right. The MA series camera does seem to take up a lot more space though. Let me just move that around so you see. It takes up a lot more space than the MU or the MD. Not as compact. Now let's go ahead and talk about the third port, or the trinocular port, on the microscope. On the 490 series, there might be this little cap on top, but you don't need to use that at all. So if you have a microscope with something obstructing the trinocular port, just go ahead and remove it. This is called a CPC cap, but for these cameras that we're using, you don't need it. So let's just go ahead and unscrew that from the top. Now that it's removed, you could put in any camera there that's 23 millimeters. So this would be the MD35. It fits right in there. Again, it would also work for the MD400 or any other MD series camera. You could add in the MU300 camera or any of the MU series cameras, so MU1000, 900, MU500, etc. It fits in quite nicely on top. And you also have the MA series camera right here, and that would also go on top. And since this is one of the biggest of all cameras, I would probably recommend getting trinocular if you ever get an MA series camera. And as you can see, it rests nicely on top of the microscope. For those of you who do have a microscope with a trinocular port, just a reminder that you could always readjust focus for the camera by moving the trinocular port up and down. As you can see, this has ridges on it, so you could go ahead and spin it up or spin it down. And doing this would allow you to have almost simultaneous focus with the eyepieces here on the microscope. Most people say that they have a different field of view when they use the camera versus their eyepieces. That's technically true because the camera has more magnification than your eyepieces normally do. So if you do have a microscope that has 10x eyepieces, the camera might be a little bit more zoomed in than what your eyepieces see. But if you put 20x eyepieces, you could almost match the same field of view as your 20x eyepieces. Last but not least, we do have our SM stereo microscope. And for this one, I also brought out a trinocular head. So if you are trying to attach a camera to this one, it's the same way as other ones. You would just remove one of the eyepieces and place the camera in. But for this one, it does use an adapter. The eyepiece size of our SM series microscopes is around 30 millimeters. So you could take out any eyepiece, left or right, doesn't matter. And you would go ahead and grab the adapter that we included that says 30 millimeters. You would just place that in the eyepiece slot, and then you could attach any one of our cameras. It would be an MD35 or MD series camera. Would slide right in. You could use the MU series camera, MU300, MU900, whichever model you have. Slides right in there, stays secure, doesn't move around. Or you could also attach one of the MA series cameras, and it would go right in there. Alright, as easy as that. And most importantly, if you did receive a trinocular SM series microscope, there is the trinocular port on top that you could attach the camera to. And it's already standard at 23 millimeters, so you don't have to add any adapter to it. You would just go ahead and get your camera, MD series, just slide it right in, just like that. If you have an MU series camera, just go ahead and slide it in. Fits perfectly, doesn't move around. And again, if you have the MA series camera, you would go ahead and put it in just like that. Now, if you want to match the focal distance of the microscope and the camera, you could always readjust the trinocular port. So you can move it up, or you can move it down. And all you have to do is twist the trinocular port. A lot of people don't know that you could readjust focus when using this port alone. Doing this would allow you to match the same focusing ability that your eyepieces get, especially if you have 20x eyepieces in it. Some people always say, hey, my magnification of the camera doesn't match the magnification of the eyepieces. And that's technically true because the magnification of the camera is a little bit more if you have 10x eyepieces in it. So expect to see a somewhat smaller field of view when you connect the camera to it, even with the reduction lens attached. Alright guys, so that's our review of the cameras and how to connect it to the microscopes that we have. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reply down in the video below, or if you are interested in any one of these microscopes or cameras, I've included a bunch of links in the comment section. Alrighty, take a look down in the description below and you'll be able to see them and find them on Amazon or on our website. Alright, have a great day.